Okay, awesome. Well, listen, tonight's a very big night, and it's my absolute honor to welcome you to the 2020 major announcement and donor update. And who could not be more excited when the title of the event includes the words major announcement? I mean, this just makes it for a good evening for sure. My name's Mark DeRocchi. I go by Rock. For those that don't know me, I am a member of the class of 1998. I have the honor of being the president of the 98 Fund. And this year, 2020, has been a crazy year for everyone in the world, in the nation. But I will tell you, we started this year thinking that the 98 Fund was going to do some things, and no one could have known how amazing this year was going to start, continue, and then end up even just now. So I'm looking forward to sharing all this news with you and kind of rolling out all the things we've done and then all things that we're going to be doing. Just for everyone's awareness, what we're doing is everyone should be muted right now. If you're not muted, please mute yourself and then use the chat function to share with us any questions or comments you might have. So that way we know we have something to address at the end. We do have a moderator who's monitoring the chat room for us. And then if you need to, feel free to chat me privately so we can get you contacted. If you want to go to the next slide there, Bill, I appreciate it. So for those that don't know, a little bit of background, the concept of what we're doing is because of the people you see on the screen right now. Those fallen classmates, their memory, their honor, their legacy is where this concept started. As we get ready for our 10-year reunion, we decided that those that were fallen should never be forgotten. They should always be honored. And to be honest with you, we thought that AOG in our class was doing a great job, but we could do more. And unfortunately, that list has grown since then significantly. President Kennedy once said that a nation is revealed not just by the people that it produces, but by the people it remembers, and more importantly, the people that it honors. And we do this, everything we do, in honor of these people. That list, unfortunately, has grown since then and continues to grow for our class, for the Long Gray Line, and for all of our soldiers out there. But we do this for them. We do this for our fallen to make sure that they're never forgotten. When we hold our monthly calls, we usually identify one or two names that are around the time period of our monthly call, and then we recognize them with a moment of silence. For this year's annual call, I'd like you to look at all 15 of these pictures and maybe someone that you know from when you served with, a soldier or another officer who's not here with us now. But I'd ask you to join me in a quick moment of silence as we remember our 15 fallen and all those that are not with their families now. For those that have given the ultimate sacrifice, we thank you, we honor your families, and we will never let your memory fade. The rest of the meeting tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we'll cover a whole series of events. You'll see here on the agenda that I'm going to introduce all of the board members so that those that don't know them can quickly see their faces. You will hear all their voices tonight and hopefully their faces on your screen. We're going to go over a lot of different things: fund update, financial, some donor recognition. When we talk about the Alaska project, we're going to show you some pictures and a video of things that are going on right now. So without further ado, let me start with the board member introduction. You'll see in the top left corner there, my own smiling face. Served for numerous years and retired in Alaska, where I still am today. And again, honored to be the president of this fantastic foundation. On the bottom left, you see our vice president, that's Mark Weaver, who also retired after 26 years, who is now serving in Texas with the Department of Transportation. On the top right, our very own chairman and treasurer, John Serafini. He is the CEO of basically a world-renowned satellite company now and doing great things for them and for us. In the bottom right, you'll see our Gold Star member of our very own classmate, that's Traci Voelke. She's a lawyer in the DC area. Her and the boys have relocated there and stayed there. We are honored to have her on our board, and we're all very honored to have a Gold Star member that is willing to serve and give time with us, not just receive stuff from us. She is really a sounding board for us, and we're very honored to have her. On the next slide, I'll wrap up the rest of the board of directors. Top left, you have Scotty Galloway. He was an engineer officer. He is now in California and running a consulting business there. On the top right, you see Jason Kostal, infantry officer who is now in Arizona and founder of the Kostal guitars, producing world-renowned guitars all over the world. In the middle on the right, Michelle LaVicka, and I'd like to point out that we do have a PhD on the board thanks to her. So Dr. LaVicka, thank you very much. On the bottom right, our very own Bill Song, who is in charge of our fundraising. He works for Jefferies Investment, and we're very blessed to have him. Our one last member on the bottom left there, who's still serving on active duty, is Colonel Sammy Sock. He is currently overseas and unable to join us, but we're awfully blessed to have him as part of this also. Before I go to the next slide, I just want to point out our fund has a 0.5% overhead rate. And so for those of you that remember other nonprofits, maybe you're doing CFC, or if you were doing other nonprofit events, a lot of nonprofits have a big percent of their money every year go to overhead. Our actual overhead cost is less than 1%. And as a 98 fund, we always wanted to be below 2%. So we are very proud of the fact that our overhead is less than that. And that's what makes us very different from a lot of other nonprofits. Without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to our vice president, and that's Mark Weaver. Mark, it's all yours, sir.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome. And we really appreciate y'all being here. So since our founding in 2010, the 98 Fund, we expanded beyond the original concept of just a memorial scholarship fund. And as you can see, we've been focusing on three areas: educational support, assisting veterans, and providing mentorship. So our initial efforts allowed us to develop relationships with almost all of the families of our fallen. And through those interactions, we were able to start to identify those additional needs beyond just educational benefits. Simultaneously, the fund was approached by others looking for assistance as they were trying to help spread the word about worthy causes, or just quite frankly, just looking for the ability to try to get some help. Since then, our educational support, as you can see, accounts for over $140,000 in commitments already made, and $20,000 of those have already been awarded to active students. All of these commitments remain protected and are always integrated into our financial planning and will never be touched or infringed upon. Our assistance to veterans has probably been our most exciting thing over the last few years prior to this recent development, and it's evolved into three sort of major groups. The first one is financial support to our classmates. This was the first offshoot from our Memorial Scholarship Fund. And you may realize there are two notable fundraisers that if you've been a part of the fund or the class that you're probably aware of. The first one is Darren Baldwin's fundraiser, and my grandson is just joining me. Hi, Javin. He provided medical support that was above and beyond what's been provided by the VA, and it's also assisted with the quality of life support that he's been needing and is critical. So partnering with the Green Beret Foundation, over $135,000 was raised, and we still have $40,000 of that still available as we continue to provide support. Likewise, Joe Alexander, that fundraiser got over $35,000. You want to say hi? Over $35,000, and helped provide his daughter Julie with some critical support during her battle with cancer and the chemotherapy. The next kind of group was our indirect or our discrete support to classmates needing assistance due to medical or other significant life events. The fund was able to discreetly mobilize support from a variety of volunteers, many of you who are on the call this evening, to provide local support or expertise in getting through some bureaucratic hurdles, finding the right point of contact, or getting people connected with some critical help. And then the third portion of this is partnerships with other classes like Class of 97 and 2010, those that were looking for options to provide support to families during terminal illnesses and other losses. And these partnerships proved that our model was working, and it's giving us opportunities to expand these partnerships and relationships to provide even greater support much further and beyond the Class of 98. And then finally, you see the mentorship of families, which we're going to be discussing shortly. But this platform of the 98 Fund has facilitated these informal mentorship and support groups for the families, not just for children. And they've been able to receive incredible support from a lot of the volunteers. Again, most of you that are on this call this evening. That support has been enabled us to bring the families together for major events like our reunions and Army Navy, and it helps ensure that they never feel alone and they always feel a part of the class. Again, when the 98 Fund was approached with a need, we were able to reach out and find help from this amazing group of supporters, and we can't say thank you enough because of that. As I close, I want to thank all of you who have donated and supported so far, and I encourage everyone to be a part of this incredible effort to help others as we move forward. I'll be followed by John Serafini, who's going to talk about our finances.
Hey, thank you, Mark. Thank you all for being here. It's phenomenal to see some of these old faces. Let me tell you a little bit about our finances. We're in an exceptional position, of course, through your largesse. By the numbers, we've contributed to date over $200,000 to our beneficiaries. Principally, those are folks like Dan Baldwin, but also the children of our fallen that we've made commitments to, as well as paid out distributions for. We have had a pretty great return on invested capital. We just actually went to cash, but up until a week ago, we were about an 83% return since inception. As Mark mentioned, we are pretty careful with what we spend of donor funds. So we have today well below a 1% rate of overhead, and that's the cost to basically manage the fund. For the first 6 or 7 years, all of that money actually came out of board of director members' pockets. But since then, because the numbers got a bit larger, we've been willing to spend that out of 98 fund dollars. So, but still well under 1%. And at the same time, none of us on the board have ever taken $1 in compensation for the work that we do. What we have here on the right-hand side is, basically a quasi balance sheet on the top right and an income statement on the bottom right. That lays out for you what our assets are and our liabilities. We've got around $270,000 worth of what was previously in Fidelity and mostly in mutual funds, equities, and a nice diversified portfolio. Again, we just went to cash quite recently, given where the market is, and we're holding a bunch of that in other cash accounts. Together, you're looking at $360,000. As will be discussed shortly, we have acquired a parcel of land in Alaska. It's a beautiful parcel of land that cost us $300,000. It's an asset now that we own, and we've made almost $100,000 worth of improvements held at cost since the time of procurement. So our total assets today are just under $750K. On the liability side, we have a mortgage note today for $100,000. We paid $200,000 in cash plus a $100,000 mortgage note paid over 4 years with a small amount of interest, which was kind of a sweetheart deal that we were able to work out for ourselves. Please proceed back if you can. Thank you. We have an additional $142,000 worth of commitments that were yet to pay out. Most of these are educational scholarships due to be distributed to members of our class's children. And then lastly, the delta between our liabilities and our total assets, we look at that as a future beneficiary commitments, the dollars that we'll ultimately give back to our beneficiaries over time, either by liquidating the land long-term or through distribution of cash that we have on hand. That gives you a sense of what our balance sheet is. And then what you have at the bottom here is the last 4 years worth of numbers associated with our tax returns. These are all our 990N and 990 IRS filings, and they're all available. They're publicly available. I'm happy to share them with anyone who wants access to them. But you can see how our revenues have roughly stayed about constant, just a little bit over $100,000. There's some ups and downs depending upon reunion years and different fundraising campaigns that we have to do. But importantly, you can see how we're using that capital. The beneficiary distributions are cash that's going out the door to support our beneficiaries, but also programs that we're doing in Alaska. And then below that are the costs to manage those programs, as well as some of the overhead costs. Again, that's about 8%, but it includes the cost to pull off these programs that we do in Alaska and other things. And then lastly, the cash that is left essentially goes into savings to support strategic initiatives like the Alaska project, but also our future distributions for our beneficiaries. I'll take any questions down the road if people want to talk about this. I'm also available anytime to discuss. I'll turn it over to Bill now for an update on fundraising.
Yep. Thanks, John. I'll give a quick update on fundraising. Obviously the fundraising is what allows us to do what we do and serve our class and veterans. So this is an important part of what we do. The fund has raised a little over $550,000 since its inception. You can see from the graph to the right that the contributions are kind of lumpy. So, up until 2016, we had raised about 117,000, and then kind of the trends post 2016, 17, 18, we've got kind of lumpy years. And the reason for that is in some of these years, we've had major fundraising events. And so in 16, we used the fund to shine a light on what's going on with Darren and his fight with his condition, and Julia, she was fighting cancer. We really used our platform to raise awareness and kind of shocked by the amount of response we've gotten from our fund, from our donors. And so, in 16, we raised $100,000 or so for Darren and $30,000 for Julia. And so a lot of the money we raised ended up going straight out supporting our class. 2017, luckily we didn't have some of those events. 2018, again, we had a couple of those events that happened. Tara, who joined us today, our great friend Jason passed away, and our class rallied around raising some funds from him. Hannibal Wright passed away, so our class just really stepped up and drove a lot of fundraising in those years. And so that's part of our mission, using our platform to raise some awareness and really help our classmates who are in need. The Army-Navy game has become a big event for us. We typically raise 10 or 20,000 people when they're drinking. They're around friends right before a football game, tend to be a little looser with their wallets. And so, when we're there, people are donating a lot. We've got a ton of good things we auction off, and that's been a great event for fundraising, but also just getting our class together. Last year, we raised about 81,000. This year, we've raised about 30,000 to date. It's probably going to be a soft year. Based on where funds are coming in, we'll probably raise 60,000. So a lot of people are still giving, but obviously COVID has hit the fund a little bit. When you double click on donations, I do investment banking, and in banking, we talk to a lot of investors. Investors value recurring revenues much higher than lumpy revenues. And so I think when you double click, our recurring donor base has grown nicely over the last several years. We've gone from 90 monthly recurring donors a few years ago to about 100. And that has put us in a position to take on some projects in future years that we're confident that we can support. And so today, we've got 104 monthly recurring donors. It's down from 120 from the start of the year. The most common donation is $19.98. The average donation per month is about $32, about $40,000 of monthly recurring donations every year. So feels like we're in good shape. It allows us because of this recurring donor stream. So that's been fantastic for us. But I will say 104 monthly donors only represents about 12% of our class. There are about 884 who graduated part of 98. Every little helps. We just did a little bit of math here on the right. If we can get just 20% of our class to donate $30 a month, 200 donors, we'll be able to, increase our recurring donor base to kind of 76,000. That will allow us to do so much more. And then our goal for the next 3 years, ahead of our 25th year reunion, is to try to get the donor base to about half our class, which is about 440. And if we do that, that will put us in a great spot. We could do so much more. We'll be able to rely on about $170,000 of recurring donations every year. So we're really focused on this. And again, the visibility into this monthly recurring base gives us a lot of confidence to do a lot more. So please, if you could, think about donating. It's only, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it adds up in a big way. And so please think about signing up or do that. These are the 104 heroes, monthly recurring donors. I won't go through every name. Most of these folks are us, people part of our class. We do have a bunch of people who are outside of our class. So as we've expanded the mission, taken on more responsibility, gotten more visibility, people outside of our class have sought to use our platform as a vehicle to give back. And so we're very proud of that as well. And again, at our 25th year reunion, I'd love to have 2 or 3 pages of this. So we've got 400 or so monthly donors. And then I do want to take a little bit of time to recognize our major donors. There have been about 22 people who have donated $5,000 or more. These 22 people in aggregate have donated about $250,000. You've got 5 people who are outside of our class. You've got a corporate sponsor in Lowe's. You've got, I guess the most interesting name here is Ali Villanueva, as you know, served with Rock. Rock was his teacher, was his yearling. He's doing great things. And he donated a nice signed jersey that we auctioned off. And then I don't know if our class knows this, but you know, these football players make money off of the sale of jerseys, and he's donated a portion of those jersey sales to us, and he donates the other amounts to other veteran causes. So he's a big hero, and we feel like he's going to be a big supporter of this fund. He's been today, and he'll be a major supporter going forward. So again, this is a real thing that we're doing. We're moving the needle. And we've got some major donors helping us. I do want to recognize one person, Jason Kostal. He's donated close to $50,000 over the last several years. And then a lot of these other major donors like Eric and Tom Fisher are clients of his in the music industry. So he's gotten the word out and he's evangelized and he's been able to get others to donate. So I would like to turn it over to Jason to kind of talk about why he's given so much and what the fund means to him. Jason?
Thank you, Bill. I really appreciate all of you being on the call this evening. And for most of the people on the call, this is old news. You know, you're already donating, you're already participating. But I think the big thing for me, the main reason I donate, there's a couple charities that I give to, but this is the only organization that I'm able to donate to where 100% of the recipients are people that I'm connected with. And that's true with most of us. I may not have known everybody at school, may not have been friends with them, but 100% of the lives that we are touching are people that I have a connection to. And that's very special to me. I've also watched and participated with the board over the last couple of years and seen the way in which we safeguard the donations and the way we handle our money. And it makes me feel very proud to know that essentially less than 1% of the money taken in is being used for overhead. So we're essentially 100% pass-through charity. And I just don't know another charity like that. So, you know, those are 2 reasons if you want to think about what to do with your money, you can feel pretty good about it. When we started this fund, it was really all about college scholarships. And I think for a lot of people that felt like a finite opportunity. We had so many fallen classmates. There were a certain number of children. So once a certain level of money was raised, people started to feel like, okay, we've got this and it's taken care of. We've continued to take care of our classmates and their families, not just the ones that have left us, but those that are still with us. Some of it very publicly, but some of it very privately that we don't talk about out of respect for them. But we're working on a daily basis to help people in need. And we're slowly growing that to help other people from other West Point classes. And eventually we'd like to grow into helping soldiers that we served with or people that are special to us outside of the scope of our graduates. And we can't do that without growing our capital and utilizing it properly. But it's not just about money, it's about time and volunteering your time. And most importantly, right now, sharing the message. We released a video today made by a dear friend, Jessica Savage, who is willing to put that together. But if you can share that video and help spread the word, the more people we touch, the more opportunity there is for outside entities to help us, which allows us to grow and reach new people. So thank you for taking the time to listen to us tonight. I really encourage you guys to volunteer and come out to Alaska. I will tell you it's the most life-changing experience I've ever had, which is why I try to go every year. And for me personally, it's as much about my own personal healing and growth as it is about taking care of the children that we mentor. So thank you for your continued support and encouragement. And I really hope that you'll continue that and help us as we move forward. Next slide, please.
Yeah. And so I'm a little bit of an amateur at this. I do feel like I did miss a lot of people on our list, monthly donors and our major donors. I know Matt Lawton's has been a big donor, major donor, and so I apologize for missing that. The last point I'll make, besides money, I just want to take the time because these guys won't do it, but people like Mark and Scotty and Jason spend so much of their own time donating to the fund. Just the amount of time they put into this, it doesn't show up here, but it's amazing. So with that, let me turn it over to Rock, who will kind of go through the major announcement and the Alaska project.
Bill, thank you very much. And we've talked a lot about the Alaska project, but you haven't really heard what it is. Some of you are connected and some of you know. But you've heard a lot about what we've done. You've heard a little about how we've supported. We didn't talk about the fact that we've supported the class of 97. We've supported the class of 99. We've helped out members of the class of 2000. And recently we've done a lot of help for the class of 2010. Those things are only made possible by us, as Jason Kostal just said, getting the word out, helping share this vision, if you will, and making sure that the word is out there. And for everyone that has given money, thank you. For all those that have given time, thank you. Each of those are almost irreplaceable because it is literally, it's a finite resource. Moving forward, we have taken all these great things that we do, and we're always on standby to help. We actually just got contacted just this week about helping someone from the class of 1978, and we're here. We're here for the entire veteran community. But what we found was we were doing these scholarships and doing lots of other great stuff, and I had a Gold Star widow reach out to me and said, "Rock, what you are doing is amazing. We are very thankful, but you could be doing more, and I just want to share with you some ideas." And when I heard her comments about what she thought her kids needed, it literally moved my heart from thinking we were doing great stuff to knowing we could be doing amazing stuff. And so what we focused on was making a backdrop, which is Alaska, to serve as a veteran mentor retreat for those families that are fallen or veterans in need. And so that has turned into giving time, effort, money, and resources towards creating an event that is for our fallen warriors families or veterans in need in Alaska. But the trick is it's with people that either served with them while they were downrange or in the military, or served with their fallen. That makes a huge difference, and it makes it awfully special. So that turned into this. What you see on the screen right here, the Alaska project, it turned into our vision, which was a mentor-led retreat. And then the mission, that's the vision. The mission, that we take something special, the backdrop of Alaska, and they build something together, a lasting memorial project. And what that does is it serves a goal for the future. It serves for future therapy. It also is for use by others. We're going to show you a video here in a little bit, and if you don't cry, I'll cry for you, because it helps tell the story better than I can with words or in context. So what I would like to say, though, is that rather than tell you this myself, you've heard us talk about how we're helping people. I'd like to turn it over to someone that in my life has been one of my heroes. She's the gold star widow of our classmate, Paul Voelke. Traci, in my eyes, epitomizes what our class has done and said, and that is duty will not wait. And so even though that came through Paul to her, I'd like her to talk about the Alaska Project and what it means to her and to her kids in her own words. So Traci, the floor is all yours.
Sorry about that, had to unmute. Thanks, Mark. As many of you know, the 98 Fund sort of found us after Paul died, and were just instrumental in those immediate needs that we had for our family. And the fund asked us after he was buried, what else can we do? What do you need? We'd like to buy you something. And, as a active duty military spouse for 14 years, I started thinking about, is it really stuff that my children need, or is that continued connection to the military and people who serve with Paul that would be instrumental to our healing and my children's healing? And Mark and I came up with this plan along with the fund as a way to honor and remember Paul and give each other the experiences and connection that we so desperately were missing. When you are killed on active duty, you normally have about 1 year to move away from the community. And so you not only lose your spouse, but you lose your entire sense of community. And my number one concern was, this is the community my children were born into, and how will they maintain those connections with their dad's classmates and these amazing people that are on this board and part of this fund? And so out of that idea grew this Alaska project. I know many people are thinking, well, Alaska is really far. Why do we have to go all the way to Alaska to do something like this? But I think in the grief process, it's really important that we carve out a space and a time to connect with each other, and to have that space to remember and honor your loved one while working on this project to memorialize them for a lifetime. It has been instrumental in my children's healing and their connections with each other. They all know every member of this board and so many classmates. We feel connected to all of you. I know I could call any one of you and you would be there for me and my children. And I want to give that experience to all of the 98 Fund and hopefully all of our West Point alumni, because it has been essential to our healing. With that, my son, Ben, my younger son, I know a lot of you've heard from AJ before, would like to say why Alaska was so important to him.
Alaska was definitely one of the highlights of my life. It was really life-changing for me, and to be honest, if I did not go to Alaska, I don't think I would be where I am today. The people there were just there for me, and it was awesome to just do things with the dad that I've never had. I never got to experience things like just little things like hammering a nail into a piece of wood. I never got to do that until I got to Alaska. And it really felt like I just belonged somewhere and I had another place that I could call home. And I think that was really important for where I was at that time. Thank you.
I think we're going to turn it back over to Bill.
Alaska, a land of untamed wilderness and unmatched beauty, a place where those who seek adventure build character, and and those who seek healing find purpose. It is here that in 2015, the 98 Fund's Alaska Project was born. The start of the Alaska Project was a humble but ambitious endeavor. In August of 2015, A.J. Voelke, eldest son of U.S. Army Major Paul Voelke, traveled from his home in Springfield, Virginia, to Hatcher's Pass. It was here that he spent a week with 98 Fund President Mark DeRocchi. In that week, with the help of friends and family, they built a bridge over a glacial river, a bridge that would be dedicated to Paul Voelke's memory. For AJ, that week was more than learning about woodworking. It was about spending time with a man who knew and served with his father, a mentor who was helping keep his memory alive. After the success of that first summer, the 98 Fund has continued to build upon this concept of a nature-based and mentor-led retreat for families of fallen warriors and veterans in need. The physical projects result in living memorials to be enjoyed for generations to come. Each year, more families have been invited to Alaska, and each year there are new opportunities and adventures. Old bonds strengthen and new bonds are forged. As time goes by and need grows, so too do the goals and scope of the Alaska Project. In early 2020, the 98 Fund purchased 50 acres of land with the goal of creating a space to connect with and support their fellow West Point families.
Starting here at this bridge, this was the property that we purchased, this whole area out to the peninsula where the Little Sioux splits. North Fork to our north, the South Fork to the south side of the property, and then this easement line that goes down to the west side of the property. On the east side of the property is where the river splits, and basically this peninsula is what we purchased. Friends of the 98 Fund that have made a large donation allowed us to last 5 years use their property is over here to the east side, and that is the Walther family. So they have graciously donated the ability for us to use their land while we're developing our property. And then we'll be developing these parcels for the 98 Fund for the next 2 or 3 years. Parcel 3 has been reserved for our future lodge. Our current construction is generally in this area right here. And then next year's construction with storage shed and all the maintenance facilities will be here in Parcel 2. And then the memorial trail and all the kids' projects over the next 5-10 years will be all around the outside of Parcel 4.
For the children of the fallen, the Alaska Project introduces them to an extended family who will carry the torch on behalf of their lost loved one. The surviving classmates who walked alongside the fallen in life now have the opportunity to fulfill promises made so long ago. There is no replacing what was lost, but there is hope in healing and growth in connection.
So as you can see, a lot of time, a lot of planning has gone into making this happen so far. But I really want to say thank you to the hundreds of folks that have donated to make this happen, to support families of our fallen soldiers, to support the West Point class of 98, and all those other West Pointers that have walked before us that need help. We are here, we'll always be here, and this place will be here for you.
So Bill, thank you for sharing that, and Jason and Jessica, thanks for putting that video together. Listen, I'm sorry if I have a teary eye. I can't watch that video and not think through the emotions that played in. I thought I was gonna help the Voelke family, and what I realized during that process was that they were helping me heal as much as I was hopefully helping them. And so this Alaska project, is really what it's all about. It's how we really connect to our families. And listen, this is not just something that is for our summer camp. You know, this is meant to be for our class, to help our classmates, to help their families, to help veterans. You know, this is something magical. And I will tell you, for those who have set foot on it, and almost everyone on the board of directors has been there, you cross that bridge that's on the screen on the top left there, and you enter into a place of memorial and healing, and it really is special. So as cartoony as it is, I wanted to quickly kind of show, for those that are wondering, well, what you saw the video, you saw the flyovers, you know, what is it? Well, basically that gray area around surrounded by the river there, that's the 50 acres that we now own. We bought it this spring, despite the challenges of COVID, and we went at it. We went after creating fields, building roads, drainage and grading. We built 3 foundations. We moved a log cabin donated by the Walter family over to our property. We built a well house. We roughed in a bathhouse, and we started construction of Memorial Pond. Listen, I will tell you that in a fully paid normal construction summer would have been a big push. We did that at about 25 cents on the dollar, thanks to donations, and I mean equipment and hours and people and time. We were able to achieve all of that. It says audacious on that slide in the middle of the left there. I'll tell you, it was more than audacious what we thought we were going to do and what we were able to accomplish. And that's not me. Yes, I put a lot of time into it, but I'm telling you, there's just countless people to thank, you know, with equipment and time and energy on a hammer, energy on a shovel. Just no way to say thank you to everyone. So we have a very aggressive, if you know me, I'm not going to do this half-assed. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it all the way. Over the next 5 years, a very aggressive schedule to get all of our major construction done. Now that's hopefully with your help, both time and money. It really is an effort to, in the summertime, I want you up here. I want you helping us. I want you swinging hammers with our Gold Star families, with those that give and those that we love, those that might need some mentorship. 5 years to build this out with all of our major construction. So this map serves as a high-level overview, and I know we're bouncing around a little bit. I apologize on the slideshow, but bottom line is we are here. We're getting after it, but we need your help. We need your help getting the word out, and I could really use some help with some people that are willing for some back-breaking labor and some nice, short, easy days that you can come work with me. I'll be happy to put you mildly to work for a few hours every day. With that said, I'd like to turn it over to Scotty Galloway, and Scotty's going to talk about this slide about how do you help us take the ground to that picture in the bottom right. Scotty, it's all yours, sir.
Thanks, Rock. Well, anybody that's missing their opportunities to recreate their Lake Frederick experience, we're going to start out with donations and trying to build elevated tent pads. Like Rock said, this isn't just a summer camp for the kids to come up. This is also for people to utilize. So you donate your time, your money, and then bring your family up and explore. So we'll build some elevated tent pads in case you want to rough it out there. We'll have some RV pads where you can park, and which will overlook the Memorial Pond. And then we're going to start building cabins. And the cabin that you see on the right are similar to the cabins that we built this summer, or these are the cabins we built this summer. We're going to call those yearlings. They're a 12 by 12 cabin with bunk beds in them with a deck. And then we'll have a cow, which will be a little bit larger cabin, 12 by 16. It'll also have a toilet in it, a queen bed along with a deck. And then we kind of have it'll be a 2-story. So if you wanted to have your family come up and stay in the same cabin, it'd have a queen bed up on the top with a viewing deck, and then a 12 by 16 bottom floor with bunk beds, lavatory, and maybe a fireplace. And that's not all that has to go into this. There are a lot of other donation opportunities. The roads aren't free, the storage shed, the equipment, all of those things. We need to renovate our bridge entering into the property. So all of those are other donor opportunities for classmates to participate. And then we're looking for a major sponsor to create a main lodge. And all of these cabins will be connected by a bridle/ATV trail to the main lodge between the campfire pit and the existing cabin that we had donated. All of it's within approximately 50 yards of the waterfront. And we're looking for people to donate their time and their money. The yearling pad or yearling cabin that you're looking at is about, well, it's about a 2-day build when the gravel pad has already been established, a 2-day build according to Rock's 18-hour days, or we can break it down into about three 8-hour days and be able to build that, take a couple days for you to come up to Alaska, build it, and then enjoy some of the outdoors, climb Gold Star Peak, and maybe go hike on a glacier. Next slide.
Well, thanks guys for bearing with us here in this presentation. As the chairman of the 98 Fund, let me just wrap up by saying that I think we've been an exceptionally good steward of your capital. We've done some amazing things with the money that you've brought to us, and we are blessed with the opportunity to have that fiduciary obligation to our class. What we're doing here is very different. If you spend time talking to fundraisers at institutions all over America, like Harvard and Princeton, et cetera, those organizations are raising capital to support the institution itself. AOG exists to support the West Point organization and the 40-some-odd month experience that they provide for the cadets. Nowhere is there an organization that's set up specifically to take care of our own. And that's really the experiment of what we've done with the 98 Fund. There's nothing else like it out there, like the 98 Fund. And not only are we different in the way in which we create value for our beneficiaries with this philosophy, but we're also very different in how we're trying to create value for our class in keeping us together. The Alaska Project is about taking care of our beneficiaries and honoring those that we've lost and helping their families. But at the same time, it's also about keeping our class as a unit, as a family, and that's really unique to have this kind of a compound that we'll build from scratch, where our classmates can go and to celebrate and to be part of an organization that has existed now for 25 some odd years. And we think back to when we were pleased, 25 years ago, we sat in the auditorium our first summer, and they said, look to your left, look to your right. And well, those people are still there next to us, to your left and to your right. And you collectively, the 70 some odd people who are on this call, and to the hundreds who have contributed, and to the dozens who have been involved on the board, et cetera, you guys have done that. You've made an investment into our class, not just for the 4 years or the 6 years that we served for, but for 25 some odd years. And that's inspiring and different. There's no other organizations out there like that. And so we're very proud of what we've built here with the 98 Fund, and we're very proud of our class and for the honor to work for you. Let me wrap up by saying that what we're seeing here with the Alaska Project is a major fundraising drive. We'd really like to raise about $500,000 to support the build out of all the infrastructure that we've talked about here, the cabins, the trails, the storage facilities, et cetera. That takes a good amount of capital. But once it's built and we have this summer residence up there for our class and for our beneficiaries, it's going to be an immensely special place for fellowship and for support of our classmates. And ultimately, for the larger West Point ecosystem, we'll spread out to other classes and maybe even beyond. But from a crawl, walk, run perspective, we start today with supporting the class of 98. And I'll leave you with this before we open it up to any questions that may be out there. We're putting our money where our mouth is. The 98 Fund board is so committed and so supportive of what we're doing. Of that $500,000, that is our goal. The members of the board are putting in $100,000 of our own capital over 3 years. That's our commitment to you guys. Our capital is in the skin of the game is now on the table as well. And we're hopeful that the rest of our classmates will rally around that and come help us raise the capital necessary for us to build towards this really important vision. So I'm going to pause there and turn it over to Matthew to see if there's any questions from everyone out there.
Okay, hey John, this is Rock, and for the whole group, thank you. Matthew's been pumping me the questions as they're coming in. So the first question that was asked was, what are the dates for 2021? As you may have heard or you may have caught, and unfortunately I share this news, is that, you know, in 2020 we had to cancel the event. We were going to have all of our Gold Star spouses come up, and a lot of them are on the call tonight, and it's great to see your faces. We had to cancel that because of COVID. So the dates for next year for the camp itself, if I get ready to copy this down, I'll put it in the notes after I speak. But the camp itself will be, there you go. The dates are 26 through 30 July. That week is the week of the camp. So our Gold Star families, I guess this is your first warning. Please reserve that week. But not more importantly, but that's the week that we'll do the camp. What we're going to do is the volunteer build and construction week will be 2 weeks before that, and that's the 12th through the 16th of July. So 12 through 16 July, if you want to come out and build and help, and then maybe take some time with your family and then stay for the camp, or vice versa, whatever you want. Now, listen, I will offer up. Matt Lawton asked me the question on the chat box, and then Tony DeSimone had contacted me today and said, hey, what about a little bit bigger lift for construction? So listen, if we can get enough folks to do some heavy construction, I'm all in, as you probably well know. And if we can get Tony's crew up here and Matt Lawton in the group, let's get after it and do 2 construction swings this year or next year, so we can kind of make up for some hard times this year. So let me pause there for a second just to see what the other questions are. And thank you, Matthew, for your assistance getting these questions to me. There's a link that's in the chat box. If you want to see the video, please feel free to share it with everyone and anyone, and then show them how to donate to the 98 Fund by sharing the link to our page. And then Jake, I'll get to your question, just a long one. I'll read it aloud here in a second. Just give me 1 second. So Carl, you asked about, are you guys considering alternative fundraiser? Let me kick it over to, with Army Navy probably not going to happen normally this year. Let me kick it over to Bill Song to ask him that question. Bill, what are we going to do for Army Navy if we can't do it because of COVID?
I haven't thought through it. We'll probably have to come back and no plan aside from Army Navy. Open to suggestions. I know it's kind of an odd environment, new norm. So if people have ideas, would love the class's ideas on other ways to raise money. The one thing here, I know there are a lot more details around kind of the fundraising plan for the lodges and cabins. Reach out to someone on the board, Mark, myself, would love to spend half an hour on the phone to kind of go through the details. So we can start with that. And then, you know, if you could, after this, if you're not donating monthly, maybe go to the site, start donating. And if the class wants to do something this year, would love to kind of brainstorm ideas and get the class together.
Okay, and then okay, Bill. So thank you very much, and that's a great point. So listen, if you need someone to get in touch with, reach out to us through Facebook, email, whatever it is, and we'll get you involved somehow, some way. Back to Bill's briefing slide, and I'm going to cover on Jake Larkowicz's comment right here, is what we need help with outside of donations and time directly to the 98 Fund is we need your help getting that monthly donor list to increase. It's a small ask every month. It's tiny. We need your help. So Jake brought up, hey, listen, if you're involved with anything West Point, whether it comes to Founders Day or whether it comes to local area meetings or whatever it is you do, please get the word out. This is not just to support 1998, and 1998 does not have to pay for everything. And then thanks to First Sergeant DeRocchi, who, by the way, was the one who funded AJ Voelke's trip up here for the first one. So my mom and dad, First Sergeant DeRocchi, reminded me to tell you about Amazon Smile. If you link your Amazon account to our West Point 98 Amazon, the Amazon Smile account, we all get free money when you spend. And I know Michelle LaVicka is spending money like crazy on Amazon. So we all could use a little bit of kicking from all of you because we're all shopping there during COVID. Things are starting to come in pretty heavy, and I'm gonna I see you. Yeah, so small town gatherings. Listen, we have flyers. We can send you the link. You can print them. You can put them out. You can share. But bottom line is, the more folks we get, monthly donors, the more consistent our base is, and the better it is. Let me pause there for John or Weaver or anyone else who wants to jump in, and I'll go back to the chat that Matthew shared to me. Okay, Chris, there's been a formal question. Are you in the middle of making happy balls right now? We want to know. All right, and okay, I'm going to pause. Anyone else that has a formal question, feel free to throw it in the chat. And if not, I'm going to open it up. I will go around the horn to ask all the board members. And Sally, absolutely our pleasure. And to be honest with you, it's for those 15 that we do this, and it's our honor to do it for the class. So while we have maybe some people typing in there, I see multiple screens with lots of faces here. It's awesome. Let me go around the horn. Mark Weaver, anything you want to share, sir?
No, just really excited to see so many people on here this evening, and I appreciate the support. I guess the one thing I will reiterate is if you're on this call, you're probably already supporting. So I will reiterate, it's that reach out to everybody else. Just thank you so much for what you've done to help us do this.
Okay, Mr. John Serafini.
Just a sincere thank you to everyone for providing us with access to your capital and your time, and to remind you that we're always open for and interested in having new volunteers work with us on the board. And finally, just to say that this is your fund. This exists for you guys, and we rely upon your feedback, and we're a fiduciary to you. So thank you.
John, thank you very much. And on that note, it's a good comment. Is Jim Mullen last year ran or took lead for us locally in the Philly area for our Army Navy. So thank you, Jim, for last year. We were hoping we could lean on you this year. Not sure what's going to happen with COVID and all that stuff, but it's classmates like that who are stepping up that really help us to take so we don't have to carry 100% of the burden and help share. Okay, Ms. Traci Voelke, any other comments for the group, ma'am?
I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for your time tonight and for taking time out of your evenings to listen to us, and for your continued support of our families. It means a lot to us.
Thank you, Traci, very much. And Mr. Scotty Galloway.
Thanks, Rock. My main efforts being able to go up there one week of summer and break my back with Rock, building whatever we can. So I look forward to having you guys up there next year. And we got a couple more questions for you. You see that on the materials. So thank you all for joining, and help us spread the word.
Okay, and so before I go to the last three folks, let me answer. So Matt, thank you for your volunteer to donate already. I love it, and thank you for spreading the word. Dan, we do have a couple flyers. We have a small flyer that Michelle LaVicka made up for us, and then we have a larger flyer. I would be happy to share those. Matter of fact, what we'll do, folks, is I'm going to ask John and Michelle and stuff. We'll get those hung on our Facebook page, so you have them. But if you need a link to high quality flyers, then we can just send you the digits and make sure you have them. Sally, I have a question from you about, would ask you please include details on volunteer efforts and age appropriate work. Listen, I have enough work to do that ranges from, we've had a 1-year-old on the job site all the way to, and I'm not kidding, this year we had a 72-year-old on the job site that smoked Scotty Galloway every day. So we can, that's not hard. I know, I see some people laughing. I know that's not hard. We can make age appropriate work for anyone. If you want to come up and bring your kids, we will make it work. And it will become a special thing for you. Absolutely. So Sally, thank you for the question. Okay, and then, okay. With that said, I'm gonna read some more of the stuff here, and I'm gonna go to Michelle. Michelle, do you have any comments for the group, ma'am?
I wanted to say that I don't want someone to look at the cost of a cabin and be intimidated, because part of what we've gone to do and worked on is try to find groups of people who could donate together. So don't think that the only way you can donate to support a cabin is by throwing down $25,000. You can, what you provide can work to build this really great space, and any contribution is a valuable one.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate it, and it's a great point.
Hey, Rock, real
yes.
quick point on that, which is any contributions to this campaign can be paid over what we're looking for 3 years. So the goal would be to get these commitments in by the 25th reunion in 3 years' time. So plenty of time to make the payment. Thanks.
Thank you very much, John. A good point. Okay, I'm going to go to Bill Song next, sir. Anything for the group?
No, thanks for everything you do, Mark and the board, and thanks to the class for supporting this great cause. Proud to be part of it.
Thanks, Bill. And to the guy I know is Specialist Crawford, one of my soldiers from 101st Airborne. Thanks for commenting, and glad that you'll be donating and joining us. We'd love to get you up here with all of the soldiers. Listen, everyone on this board somehow, or everyone on this call somehow has connections to a very large veteran group that we want to take care of. So absolutely would like to help you all get there. And to Colonel De La Rosa, yes, you picked a bad time to move to Alaska, because I'm going to put you to work, sir, like crazy. I just want you to know that. Lastly, but not least, Jason Kostal, sir, over to you.
Just to reiterate what everybody said, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Continue to spread the word. The wonderful thing about social media and the way we can connect and reach people these days is we can reach a huge platform without having to spend money. It just takes a little bit of time and effort. So, in conversation or on social media platforms, if you can just kind of spread the word, because somewhere out there is another person, or hopefully an organization or entity that want to help us out. So thank you for being part of our journey. You're what inspires us and motivates us to do what we do. We could have never foreseen where we would be, 20 some odd years after we graduated, but here we are continuing to take care of one another and get each other's backs. So thank you. And I hope everybody stays well, but we're here for you if things take a turn for the worse.
Jason, thank you very much. Listen, to everyone, what I did real quick was I just threw my cell phone number into the chat. That way, if we're about to wrap up and you need to ask me a question separately, or you don't know how to get a hold of the board, you can send us a PM on Facebook or any other of our links. But there's my phone number. Write it down, keep it. If you want to text me or whatever, call me. We'll find ways to make it work. To the entire board of directors, thank you for your time, because what you do is amazing. To my classmates, and there's so many out there that I can't even say hi to. To our Gold Star family members that are joining, and Tara, I'm seeing you in my top right corner of my screen right now. Thank you for being here. We hope you feel the love. We are here for you now, and we will always be here for you. And to those members that are on here for some other reason, thank you, because this is how we grow this from what started as a humble, small thing to something that can take care of a much, much larger audience. So to everyone out there, thank you. I will leave the chat open for a while. We'll stay on. Thank you very much, and we'll sign off. But have a wonderful night. Thank you.